and welcome to Cyberside Chats. My name is Sherry Davidoff. I'm the founder of LMG Security.
And I'm Matt Duren, the Director of Training and Research for LMG Security.
And today we're going to talk about how North Korean workers have used social engineering to worm their way into organizations around the world. This is particularly timely because August 6th is National Social Engineering Awareness Day, or just National Social Engineering
National
Day?
Social Engineering Day.
Okay, a little bit different.
Yeah.
We got to celebrate that while we were at Black Hat teaching data breaches, so very timely.
It was.
But fill us in. Tell us a little bit about North Korean workers and what they've been up to.
There's quite a bit to the story that I think is really interesting. So there has been a trend over the last few years that is now really coming to light on companies who are hiring remote employees that turn out to be North Korean nationals, or not just North Korea, but they tend to be kind of like the most prevalent at this point. But they're bringing people onto staff who, at some points in time, will be doing things like espionage, stealing company secrets, but other times will just be working for the company, and then their salary, their salary funnels into North Korea. Yeah. So I mean, they may actually be really good employees. I mean, they might be some superior tech support guys, but you never really know, because we are dealing with completely fabricated identities at this point. I mean, they're stolen identities, they're deepfake photos, they are deepfake voices, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger issue, mainly because we are not really that great at verifying remote workers at this point. I mean, that kind of seems to be where we're going.
Well, according to CrowdStrike, they've actually infiltrated over 300 organizations in the past year for a 220% year-over-year increase. And the U.S. government actually put sanctions out on the DPRK because of this, right? This is government-sanctioned activity. This is not like, wow, it's a coincidence, these are all North Korean workers. Right. No, these are all trained. All these workers have programming skills. They teach them programming skills, language skills, and they're coordinating, in some cases, with Americans inside the United States in order to ensure that the workers can pivot through laptops that are in the United States, so it's harder to detect them.
Yeah.
And I know recently, in fact, a woman out of Arizona was sentenced.
Right, Christina Chapman.
Yeah, for helping to facilitate that. Do you want to tell us about the Christina Chapman case?
Oh, I'd love to. It's super interesting. So Christina Chapman was operating what is commonly called a laptop farm. And basically that means that she had a house or a warehouse or something like that, where she would act as kind of the actual address point for these fake workers.
So they would mail her laptops.
Exactly,
and she would set them up. Matt just showed me a picture, and all the
laptops
laptops are set up on a shelf, and they're all open, and the North Korean workers can just pivot through them.
Yeah, ironically, it's the exact same stainless steel rack that I have in my workshop at home that I got from Lowe's.
I can't believe you noticed that.
I did. No, I saw exactly which one it was. But she would receive the laptop, she would set them up, she would connect them to the internet, and then the North Korean workers could now pivot through those laptops and either exfiltrate data from whatever company they were working for, or in other cases just work for the company.
Yeah, they're doing actual work. So they're coding or doing IT work or whatever it is. And honestly, that worries me most of all.
That's frightening.
What could they put in our code from a supply chain risk perspective? My concern is that MSPs and software development companies are, of course, hiring remote workers around the world. And
well, sure. I mean, we all have remote workers.
Yeah, not everybody. They could be embedding code that ultimately could be a backdoor, have some other type of malicious payload.
So what was really interesting to me about the Chapman case was the sheer volume of revenue that it actually generated. I mean, this was between 2021 and 2025 when it was discovered, and of course Chapman was prosecuted. I mean, it's estimated that she generated about $17 million worth of revenue based on these fake IT worker schemes. And she's not the only one. There was a guy out of New Jersey that just got busted with this. There was a couple out of Florida who just got busted doing the same thing.
It's got to be a very lucrative remote work scheme for these people who are just, set up a laptop, get internet connection, thanks, here's a chunk of change. Well, don't tell anybody.
With Chapman, she stated in an interview that she was getting paid $200 per month per laptop that she was managing.
Oh, wow,
at that
that's
point in time.
too good to be true.
Yeah, right? All she has to do is keep them connected to the internet. So
she was linked to 309 different U.S.-based companies. So that's a lot of organizations that have been hacked. So I want to know, what is a day in the life? So Matt and I actually wrote you guys a story. You want to have story time?
We did. This is amazing.
Okay. It's not bedtime story. It's like mid-afternoon story. Hopefully this will wake you up. You ready? Okay.
Ready.
Let's walk you through how this scam works. It starts long before a job posting goes up somewhere in Pyongyang or maybe in a safe house in China. An operative is building a fake person. They use stolen U.S. identity data, AI-edited headshots, and LinkedIn profiles that look as real as yours or mine. Every job title, every project is crafted to match the roles they're going after. So if they want an IT sysadmin role, their their LinkedIn profile looks perfect for that. And oh, look, you've got like a reasonable amount of time at each job. Like all of this is crafted so that it's what you want to see.
But they're not just writing these resumes themselves.
Oh, no?
No, generative AI can crank out perfectly tailored applications and profiles at a moment's notice. And we've already seen that in use. Right down to the keywords from the job description, and then they blast it out to multiple different organizations.
A recruiter calls.
Ooh.
The North Korean worker has a U.S. phone number and a story ready. If there's an accent, they keep the call short. Email responses are flawless because they're AI assisted.
But the big test, the video interview. How do you get by that? This is where the magic or misdirection tends to happen. So they use real-time deepfake software to overlay their face with a synthetic identities photo. The same person can be 2 or 3 different candidates in different interviews just by swapping their face, right?
And during technical tests, AI coding assistants are feeding them answers in real time. The interviewer thinks they're talking to a sharp US-based developer, and they're impressed.
So once they make it through there, once they get the offer, the paperwork they submit, their W-2s and everything else, they're fake but convincing. So stolen social security numbers, W-2 information, whatever they need, and then the salary goes into a U.S. bank account run by a facilitator. Then it's converted over into something like cryptocurrency and sent off to wherever it might go at that point.
I feel like moving money is something that criminals have real expertise at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the kicker. This is the hardest part. They get a corporate laptop shipped to a U.S. address. Okay, so where is our worker based? Oh, they're based at a U.S. address. They have it shipped where someone like Christina Chapman is running a laptop farm. That device sits on a desk in Arizona or Minnesota, logged into your network. But the real worker is halfway around the world controlling it remotely.
Right. And then they go to work on a normal day. They may attend a stand-up meeting, or they may push code, or they may work at the company just as a normal employee at that point in time. Log into 2 or 3 other jobs from that same different system.
Often they're working 2 or 3 jobs at once, which isn't uncommon for even, I almost said legitimate remote workers? Domestic remote workers.
How about
workers,
that? Yes, yeah, that's a good way to point that. And then they collect the salaries, and those salaries get funneled back home into, in this case, North Korea. But again, it's not just North Korea. I mean, this is happening out of China. It's happening out of Mexico. It's happening out of Russia. I mean, this has been a problem at this point.
Yeah.
Like, we are having a hard time with remote employees being who they actually are.
And all your passwords, your source code, your credentials, you name it, they quietly go back to a regime.
Just as an anecdote, so I work as a VCISO for a company who does, we'll just call it home health. And we talked last month that they go through a third-party recruiter for their software coding employees. And they are at about 15% notably fake employees coming through that. I mean,
and they catch them, thank goodness.
They catch them, thank goodness for that. But I mean, it is getting more and more and more as we go through, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this might be just a job to you, but to criminal gangs or to nation-state actors, this is just a pivot point into your network.
Yeah.
And I know we've also seen ransomware actors as well using tactics
like
this.
Yeah.
So you really have to worry about all kinds of cybersecurity threats. Okay, that was a good story. That was also a really scary story. So, I mean, the bigger picture here is that AI is being leveraged at every phase of the job interview process. And it's not going to get any easier to tell the difference between real and fake employees. So what can you do to protect yourself? I mean, number one, we need to verify beyond the resume. Yes, your resume is a first step, but everyone is using AI in their resumes.
Sure.
So what can you do? You need to make sure to look independently at work history to verify that. Social profile verification, look at multiple sources of information about that person. Also, after they've been hired, make sure you're doing a non-employment check with some of the other places.
That's important,
So where did you currently work? Okay, you're not supposed to be there anymore. Let's call and
did
check.
you actually quit your last job?
Exactly. Make sure you're deepfake proofing your interviews. Matt, what can we do to help detect deepfakes during that interview process?
Okay, so right now deepfakes are very good. They're getting better at this point in time, but what they don't do well is impromptu questions. So if you ask someone during the interview to remove the blur background or remove the false background they have behind them or something like that, like see the actual room that they're sitting in. If you ask them to turn their head a certain direction or something like that, change the lighting, something that is not something that AI could pre-plan, basically. If you can do something like that, like hold your ID up to the camera or something along those lines, I mean, that's going to tell you whether or not you're talking to a real person or whether you are dealing with a deepfake.
I like the idea of simple things like, hey, can you turn your light off? Can you turn your light on? Just spin all the way around. Yeah. And, you know, they could be really defensive, but a real person should not have any problem with this stuff.
The easiest thing you can do is just ask them to stand up. Like, that's really what it comes down to, yeah.
Oh, and then you'll know if they're wearing pants or not, too, which is probably something you should be screening for anyway.
Probably, yes, yeah.
Okay, tell me about geolocation and device monitoring.
Right, so...
But their laptops in the U.S.
Right, but when we talk about, like the Christina Chapman case, when we talk about the laptops that were all coming out of that farm, those are all coming out of the exact same place in the United States. And in some cases, like multiple employees were working for a company coming from that exact location. So if you see something like a preponderance of a specific IP address or a specific region coming in or something like that, I mean, it's good to look out for. And threat intelligence sources will showcase when these things are discovered where those laptop firms are coming out of. So if you are paying attention and you subscribe to those feeds, there are some ISACA feeds that have this too. You can get an idea for where to, I guess, put up the red flags when it comes to inbound connections into your network. Also, when we look at the devices themselves, I mean, look if somebody, it's easy enough with Windows to tell if somebody is actually typing on the keyboard or if they're remoting into that workstation. Not the same for every operating system, but take a look and see. I mean, are they actually showcasing signs of being at the keyboard? Or is there a VPN connection coming into that laptop, which is then going back into your organization? So,
do you remember that Simpsons episode from back in the day when Homer Simpson is allowed to work remotely? He has like a disability, and he puts a drinky bird on the keyboard so it like presses a letter every minute. Obviously, there are tools that are a lot more sophisticated than that, but you can also get remote work monitoring software that can detect.
And you can, you can check for jigglers and things like that, things that make it look like the laptop's being used.
Yeah, so watch for multi-job signals.
Yeah, that's big.
Tools like that can also tip you off if people are working multiple jobs and they're trying to make it look like they're still active. But also, like, are they working enough hours? Are they suddenly making excuses because they can't attend that important meeting? When people are working multiple jobs, often there's conflicts of meetings or things like that. And it's a bummer because you want to be able to give people flexibility, but at the same time, sometimes it's a sign that they're juggling more things than they may be revealing.
Yep.
Okay. Last one,
and this isn't necessarily for you, but it's for the people you work with, your partners, your vendors, things like that. Make sure they are following the same standards you are following. Because the risk of either intellectual property theft or something else is the same, whether it is our organization directly or a trusted partner that we're working with. So yeah, again, just make sure there's understanding about how the employment verification process goes and what the expectations are for knowing that the people you have working for you are real people.
Yeah, I mean, for many years now, hackers have been targeting managed service providers or software vendors because they get a lot of bang for their buck. They can hack into hundreds of organizations potentially by hacking into an MSP. And in fact, I was just talking with a colleague at Black Hat about the Operation Aurora case where nation-state actors were targeting 20 different tech companies. So this is not unusual. And you want to make sure that even if you don't have remote workers and you have very tight controls, the IT folks that you rely on, whether it's a managed service provider or a key software vendor, that they also have screening for remote workers as well, because it affects our whole supply chain.
Yeah.
So with that, when it comes to North Korean fake IT workers, you might think you're hiring a great developer from Kansas or Arizona, but in reality, without the right checks, you could be shipping all of your information off to North Korea or some other nation-state actor or a cyber criminal gang that's just in it for the money.
Right.
So watch out, pay attention, make sure you're verifying, deepfake proofing your interviews, monitoring your employees' geolocation and devices, watching out for multi-device signals, and holding your vendors to those same standards.
There you go.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.